The Canon M50 can do these amazing time-lapse videos, and the best part is, this feature is already built into your camera. You won't need to do any post-processing, and you can post your video immediately. In this video, I'm going to show you how, and give you some clever tips and tricks to make sure your first video looks outstanding. In addition to your camera and your lens, you're going to need a tripod or some kind of support for your camera. Next, let's turn our camera on and switch this to video mode. Next, once you hit the menu button, you're going to notice on the very first page there's an option for time-lapse video. Select this option. Once you're in the time-lapse menu, you're going to notice right now the first option says disable. Select this option. The submenu is going to show 3 presets that Canon has already made for you. Each preset is going to capture the scene at different speeds. However, I'm going to show you how to use custom. So scroll down to the option that says custom, then select this. On this page, you're going to notice there's an option that says interval shots. Intervals is how long you want to wait between each shot. Shots is how many shots you want in total. For example, if you're shooting a scene where there's lots of fast movement, you probably want to shoot an interval of 1 second. If you're shooting a really slow moving scene, you might want to select 3 seconds. And the number of shots is how many pictures your camera is going to take for the time-lapse video. The Canon M50 is going to do 30 shots a second. So if you wanted a 10-second time-lapse video, you need to choose 300 pictures. So let's choose this option. For your first time-lapse video, let's just choose an interval of 1 second. And for the second option, let's choose 300 shots. This is going to give you a 10-second time-lapse video. On the bottom right-hand corner, you can see where your Canon M50 is going to tell you how long of a video these settings are going to create. And you may notice on the bottom left-hand corner, the Canon M50 is going to tell you how long you have to wait for your camera to take all these pictures. So in this case, I have to wait 4 minutes and 59 seconds while my camera is going to take 300 shots and create a 10-second time-lapse video. You can choose as many as 900 shots. And as you can see, the values on the bottom of the camera have now changed. You're going to be taking a 30-second time-lapse video. And you're going to have to wait 14 minutes and 59 seconds. Typically, I like to have a 15 seconds time-lapse video. If it's a fast-moving scene, I'll choose a 1 second interval. If it's a very slow-moving scene, I may choose 3 second intervals. But for your first shot, we're going to do a 1 second interval, 300 shots. Once you've selected those options, simply hit the OK button. Now the second option on here is called Movie Record Size. There's 2 options on here, Full HD or 4K. 4K is obviously a better quality video, however you should be aware, this option will crop your video. If you choose the Full HD, you can get a wider scene. Most of my videos are shot in Full HD. So if you want for your first shot, leave it in Full HD. The next option is called Auto Exposure. Once you select this option, there's going to be 2 choices. One is called Fixed First Frame, and the second one's called Each Frame. For most of my time-lapse video, I leave this on Fixed First Frame. I'll choose the option called Each Frame if I'm purposely shooting a scene where the lighting conditions will change dramatically. If I'm doing one of those scenes at sunset, I might choose Each Frame. But for your first shot, let's just leave it on Fixed First Frame. The next we have Screen Auto Off. I like to enable this. This will turn off your screen until your time-lapse video is done. This helps save battery. The next option is called Beep as Image is Taken. Most of the time I leave this on. This way I can tell when the time-lapse video is done. However, if there's a lot of people around you, they may find this to be very annoying, so that's when I'll turn this option off. But by default, I have it enabled. Now you're all set up for your first time-lapse video. Now all you have to do is put your camera on a tripod, compose your scene, make sure you're focused, and then hit the red record button on the top of your camera. On the back of your camera, you're going to notice it's counting down. And then if you choose the auto screen off, your screen will turn off automatically. Now all you have to do is wait 5 minutes. For most people, you can leave your camera settings in auto. They should work just fine. However, if you want to manually change your camera settings, all you have to do is hit this part of the screen on the top left-hand corner. Then you're going to see an option with the camera that says M. Select this. Now you can change your shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. I use this option for most of my time-lapse videos. The first option I set is ISO. I'm going to put this at 100. The next option we're going to change is our shutter speed. We want a nice, smooth, cinematic looking video. There's a mathematical formula for shutter speeds and shooting video, but generally speaking, if you shoot 1/60th of a second, you're going to get a smooth exposure. If you shoot a really fast shutter speed, sometimes it can look a little jerky. So change this to 1/60th. There's only one option to change now, and that's going to be your aperture. So we're going to hit the exposure compensation button to toggle over to aperture. The aperture is going to depend on how much light you have. Thankfully, the Canon M50 has exposure simulation. So all you have to do is adjust the aperture until the exposure looks correct. On a bright sunny day, you may have to go to an aperture value of f/29. If it's really dark and cloudy, you may have to choose an aperture value of 3.5. Once you've got your camera settings set, once again, all you have to do is hit the record button. And you're going to get a time-lapse video. You don't need to do these advanced settings as a beginner. This is something you definitely want to do if you're going to be shooting stuff like moving cars. And I also recommend that you do your composition and focusing first before you get your camera set up for your time-lapse video. It just makes it a whole lot easier. The slowest shutter speed you can use for time-lapse videos is 1/30th of a second. So you may find it very difficult to use this camera when it's very dark. In urban environments, it should be fine. Then once the process is complete, all you have to do now is hit the play button and you can watch your video on your screen. And if you happen to have the Canon app on your phone already, you can transfer your video from your camera to your phone and post it to social media immediately. Here are some other tips. You want to make sure that your camera is very level on your tripod. And in your time-lapse video, you want to make sure there are things that are moving. If nothing is moving, your video will look very ordinary. You can have some moving clouds. And it works even better if there's two things that are moving. I try to as much as possible shoot in layers. I want a foreground, a subject, and a background. And if you're patient enough, you can even use shadows because shadows move. I also recommend you make sure your battery is fully charged while you're doing time-lapse videos. In some cases, your camera may be running for 45 minutes. And when you finish your time-lapse video, don't forget to put your settings back. I'm going to put my camera back to aperture value right now. If you have any questions or comments about this video, please leave it in the comment section. And if you get some great looking time-lapse videos, please tag me if you post them to Instagram. I'd love to see what you've done. Thank you so much for watching today.